الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. قال الله تعالى ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن لله 99 اسما من حفظها دخل الجنة. al-Mutakabbir. These are all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people have categorized them in different ways, right? So some have categorized them into the names of beauty that are like Ya Jameel, or beautiful one, right? Ya Rahim. And the others are the Jalali names, the ones of majesty that show Allah's greatness and majesty. These are all mostly majestic names that we've been dealing with so far. Some have even categorized them as the masculine names and the feminine names, not in terms of masculine, feminine in that sense, but in terms of the more masculine, so-called masculine. All of these things are sometimes subjective, but some things are agreed upon. The masculine kind of traits, and then the feminine kind of traits that they have more than in the masculine. So there's various ways of looking at this. So yeah, let's look at al-Mutakabbir. Al-Mutakabbir comes from the concept of Kabir, the one who is the most supreme and the majestic. So Jabbar was to do with mending other things, right? Whereas Aziz was also the one who's mighty in himself. Mutakabbir is also more talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the supreme. See, we've already got a whole series on the meanings of the name. So that's why I'm only briefly mentioning the meaning so that we know what it is, so that we can use it inshallah. So this is not really a class on discussing the meanings at length or in depth. You can check that out separately. So al-Mutakabbir, the supreme and the majestic. This is more of a reflective name in the sense that, for example, we want to find humility in worship. Like we want to have that submissive feeling to really present ourselves in our salat, or in our du'as or anything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So wants to deeply acknowledge the majesty and put into focus the greatness of Allah so that we can feel small. We're small anyway, but sometimes we feel big because things are going so well and we have so much power and capability. But then to really realize that we're nothing, we have to think of Allah. So Ya Jabbar. Ya Mutakabbir. The great one. The supreme one. The majestic one. Now I understand how humble I need to be, how incapable I am, how insignificant I am. So I said, can use that name for reflection like that. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Speaking about the names of Allah, but Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has to come in, right? Because that's where we got everything from. Public speaking. Anybody has issues with public speaking? One of the suggestions could be that before giving a presentation, to seek confidence through the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the Mutakabbir. I don't want to be arrogant. I just want to be able to stand here and do my job properly. Of course, when facing arrogance from someone else, you call on to the one who truly is the mighty one. Ya Jabbar. And Ya Jabbar is on my tongue. Ya Mutakabbir. In calling Ya Jabbar, Ya Mutakabbir. So when we're faced with somebody who's arrogant, call on to Ya Mutakabbir so that the matter can be settled. Things can be put back into place. Because only Allah has the real reason for that. Only Allah has the true greatness. And that can deal with people's arrogance. Overcoming inferiority. But he has an inferiority complex. Feeling of weakness, incompetence. Again, Ya Mutakabbir. Underconfidence. Remembering the majesty of Allah so that we can get some more self-worth but remain humble. Also, when facing oppressors, call on to Ya Mutakabbir. As you can see, some of these names, there's been some recurring themes in all of them. That's fine. It's the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately. So call on to Him with all of these names in those particular circumstances. For example, when facing oppressors, challenging an oppressor or a tyrant, seeking strength from al-Mutakabbir. If you're building something big and then you have a sense of feeling that, look what I created, Ya Mutakabbir, Ya Mutakabbir, that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's the great one. That will give us the humility that's required. Doesn't mean that you can't enjoy what you've created, what you've made and manufactured or built or architecturally designed. But ultimately, Allah is the Mutakabbir and He gave it to us. If somebody wants to grow, right? If somebody wants personal growth, especially in the spiritual journey, recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the source of all of these things. And also, whenever we're doing anything that's going to bring us pride, we are studying the deen. We are studying something that is going to be very useful and that people are praising us for. Ya Mutakabbir, Ya Mutakabbir, Ya Mutakabbir helps us to remain humble within that. What that means is, Ya Mutakabbir, it's all coming from you. You're the only one who really has entitlement for the greatness. People are calling me great, but really you're the one. So it gives us that humility. And then it also brings it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that ultimately you're the only one who truly is worthy of this name. So that was Ya Mutakabbir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. We'll cover the next few inshallah next time. But anybody has any other suggestions or recommendations for these names? I kind of covered everything, did I? If you come up with anything interesting, let us know. Inshallah.
With the Rayyan Courses subscription, you'll gain immediate access to over 250 hours of exclusive video lessons taught by experienced scholars. Sign up now at rayyancourses.com to continue your journey. Your next lesson is waiting.